Godzilla Minus One, the latest installment in the Godzilla franchise, has left audiences both thrilled and perplexed by its enigmatic and mysterious ending. Renowned for its breathtaking visual effects and gripping storyline, the film concludes with a sequence of events that have ignited intense debate and speculation among fans. Let us delve into the finale of this cinematic spectacle, unraveling its enigmatic nature. The film builds up to an epic climactic battle, characteristic of the Godzilla series. This battle is not merely a display of sheer might and special effects, but also a narrative turning point that lays the groundwork for the enigmatic conclusion. Godzilla confronts a formidable new adversary, introducing unique challenges and dynamics into the conflict. The battle intertwines with subplots involving human characters, adding depth and complexity to the storyline. The outcome of this clash carries profound implications for both Godzilla and the world he inhabits. The ending of Godzilla Minus One remains open to interpretation, as several key elements leave audiences pondering the future of the Godzilla universe. The cost of war, with families and homes torn apart, and a formidable angry monster, Godzilla Minus One encompasses it all. Let's delve into the conclusion of Toho's magnificent kaiju blockbuster. Similar to the original 1954 film, Godzilla Minus One can be considered a war movie, despite most of it taking place after World War II. In the opening scene, we are introduced to Koichi Shikishima, a Japanese kamikaze pilot who deceives his squadron by feigning mechanical trouble. He lands on Odo Island's airbase, fearing the condemnation of his fellow soldiers as a coward. Surprisingly, the base commander supports him, asserting that it would be foolish to die when Japan appears destined to lose the war. On that fateful night, Godzilla wreaks havoc on the entire base. Koichi, paralyzed by panic, survives alongside the mechanic Tachibana. Disappointed by Koichi's cowardice, Tachibana witnesses his Tokyo neighborhood reduced to rubble by relentless American bombings. In this desolation, Koichi meets Noriko, caring for an orphaned baby named Akiko. Bound by their circumstances, the three form an unspoken bond amidst the ruins. Meanwhile, Koichi finds risky employment dismantling coastal mines. Through a poignant montage, we witness Godzilla's tragic transformation, mutated by nuclear weapons tests at Bikini Atoll. Unleashing its wrath on U.S. ships, the behemoth sets its sights on Japan, leaving destruction in its wake. Even Tokyo's bustling Ginza district falls victim, seemingly claiming Noriko's life. After witnessing the devastation caused by Godzilla, Koichi decides to join a civilian effort to eliminate the creature. He selflessly volunteers to act as bait, piloting an untested experimental aircraft left over from the war. With the Japanese military disarmed, there are limited options to halt Godzilla's rampage. However, Dr. Kenji Noda devises an intricate plan to defeat the beast. The strategy involves enticing Godzilla into deep waters, ensnaring him with cables containing Freon tanks, and plunging him 1,500 meters below the surface. If the sudden change in pressure fails to vanquish the monster, flotation devices will be deployed to resurface Godzilla, causing further havoc to his already weakened body. Noda takes charge of organizing a civilian navy primarily composed of former soldiers to operate the required ships. Meanwhile, Koichi seeks Tachibana's assistance in modifying his Shinden fighter plane. As a last resort, Koichi intends to fly directly into Godzilla's jaws, aiming to obliterate his brain and eliminate him with a payload of explosives. Unsurprisingly, this plan does not sit well with Godzilla. The plan unfolds seamlessly, with Koichi piloting his plane and leading Godzilla towards the designated target location. Despite the failed attempts of the Freon canisters and chewed flotation devices, hope arises when a fleet of tugboats comes to the rescue, determined to bring the monstrous kaiju to the surface. Dr. Noda and the older men shoulder the responsibility for the attack on Godzilla, seeing the beast as a lingering symbol of unfinished violence from the war. While young Shiro yearns to join them, he is ordered to stay behind. However, it is Shiro who ultimately leads the charge of the tugboats. The dedication of the former soldiers, though commendable, proves insufficient to fully defeat Godzilla. Interestingly, it is the assistance of the useless, as Shiro refers to those who never fought in the war, that becomes the pivotal force in pulling them out of this dire situation. To facilitate Japan's progress and initiate effective rebuilding, the film suggests that a collective effort is required from both the survivors and those representing the future. Just as the kaiju charges its atomic heat ray, Koichi bravely plunges into Godzilla's jaws, triggering a detonation. Amazingly, Koichi survives by utilizing an ejector seat to escape harm. In a delightful turn of events, Koichi returns home to a telegram revealing Noriko's unexpected survival. The chaos caused by the Ginza attack left numerous victims disoriented and unidentified, and Noriko shared the same fate. Despite being injured by Godzilla's heat ray, Noriko managed to survive after receiving medical attention at a hospital. With Akiko in his arms, Koichi rushes to Noriko's bedside, reuniting the family. Noriko inquires about the conclusion of Koichi's personal battle, prompting him to break down in tears, holding her tightly and confirming that it has, indeed, come to an end. However, it is important to acknowledge that life is not without its challenges and difficulties. As the joyful reunion fades away, the camera suspiciously pans to Noriko's neck, revealing a faint hint of something dark undulating beneath her skin. It could be a mere case of ordinary radiation poisoning, but considering the unknown nature of this incarnation of Godzilla, it might be an indication of a more ominous presence. Could Noriko have been exposed to Godzilla DNA or the infamous G-cells as referenced in previous films? Such an infection could have even aided her survival from her injuries. However, at present, there is insufficient evidence to definitively ascertain her condition. Hopefully, this resilient family has endured enough tragedies, but with Godzilla, the threat never truly dissipates. The final shot in Godzilla -1 is foreboding. The camera plunges into the depths of the sea, revealing a fragmented piece of Godzilla's body undergoing regeneration. This shot doesn't necessarily confirm a sequel, but it's a common trope in Godzilla films, hinting at the monster's inevitable return. Godzilla is known for his resilience, always rising again. With the critical acclaim and wide U.S. release of Godzilla -1, it has the potential to be the first Toho entry in 2 decades to receive a proper sequel. The underlying message of Godzilla -1 is clear. True victory is in living. Any accomplishment that demands death for fame, honor, or fortune pales in comparison to the triumph of surviving and rebuilding anew. Throughout the film, Koichi feels guilty for surviving and seeks absolution by fixing the Shinden and confronting the man who branded him a coward. However, when Tachibana learns that Koichi is alive after steering the Shinden into Godzilla, it brings resolution to his own war. Remarkably, no one dies during the final assault against Godzilla. One decoy destroyer is destroyed while all other crafts remain unharmed. Unlike in war, this is not a battle for death, but a battle for life and the future. Throughout his best films, Godzilla has symbolized various themes, often representing the destructive power of nuclear weapons or embodying the consequences Japan faced after World War II. Godzilla serves as a warning against continuing the endless cycle of violence and self-destruction. In -1, the film delves deeper into the complexity of the king of the monsters, offering a nuanced portrayal beyond these themes. During a recent interview with Vulture, Takashi Yamazaki, a renowned writer-director, shared his thoughts. Godzilla is more of an undiscerning god. In Japan, it's integrated into Shinto belief. All of these negative things in the world have manifested themselves into Godzilla. And us as humans, we're not out to kill Godzilla, but we're able to calm Godzilla and bring ourselves back to peace. In -1, the kaiju reaches new heights of terror. Its heat ray detonates like a nuclear warhead, leaving devastation in its wake. Each brutal attack is accompanied by a bone-chilling roar. Godzilla's anger isn't just directed at humanity, it seems to resent its very existence. This rage mirrors Koichi's survivor's guilt, an uneasy feeling about being alive. In this version of the story, the monster isn't just summoned by the atomic bomb, but also by the collective grief, anger, violence, and shame that haunt the survivors of war. To defeat Godzilla, these emotions must be laid to rest, and a choice to live for the future must be made. This is why the former soldiers rely on the younger generation to secure victory. For Koichi, true triumph lies in surviving the final onslaught. Godzilla Minus One revolves around the captivating dynamics between Koichi, Noriko, and Akiko. Their fateful encounter sets the stage for a remarkable tale, as Koichi discovers that Akiko isn't Noriko's biological child, but rather the responsibility of a dying woman. Enter Sumiko, who becomes a surrogate aunt or grandmother. This unconventional family defies selfishness, flourishing into a contented home overshadowed by Koichi's trauma. By the film's conclusion, Koichi finds solace and lays his inner demons to rest. This peculiar quartet symbolizes the broader theme of rebuilding showcased throughout the movie. Nearly everyone has suffered loss during the war, yet confronted with insurmountable grief, they forge a new, resilient community. In a poignant mid-movie montage, we witness the gradual reconstruction of the once-bombed house that sheltered Koichi's family. The characters' defiance in the face of devastation and their unwavering passion for a better future drive them forward. Writer-director Takashi Yamazaki has passionately expressed his aspirations for Godzilla Minus One and the movies that influenced it. In an interview with MoviePhone, he shared his thoughts on past Godzilla films. Sometimes the story is told where you switch to Godzilla and then you switch to the human story, and they end up kind of existing independently. But I really wanted to make sure that they were intertwined in a balanced way so that the human drama and whatever's going on with Godzilla had the right balance. When questioned about the enduring influence of Godzilla, Yamazaki shared his insightful viewpoint on the cultural significance embodied by the creature, stating, "It's the concept of an animal or object absorbing so much evil energy or the negativity of the world that it takes shape. This needs a cycle every couple of decades. I think maybe it's just the timing that we need to be reminded and go through the exercise of visualizing your worries, evils, and whatever's going on in the world. Nothing can save the city now." The ending of Godzilla Minus One practically begs for a sequel. It would be fantastic to see the cast return for a follow-up, especially considering the praise the human characters have received from critics and viewers alike. However, the question remains, how likely is that? Toho, the production company, hasn't released a proper live-action sequel to a Godzilla movie since 2003's Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which continued the story from the previous year's Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. Since then, only 3 live-action Godzilla films have been released by Toho: 2004's Godzilla Final Wars, 2016's Shin Godzilla, and now, Minus One. Interestingly, each of these projects stands as an independent story with no shared continuity between them. In short, Toho has become increasingly reluctant over the last 2 decades to continue the legacy of the king of the monsters. The prospect of a Minus One sequel appears slim, yet there remains a glimmer of hope. Thanks in part to the success of Legendary's MonsterVerse films, Godzilla has experienced a notable resurgence on the international stage. Furthermore, with Minus One receiving a wide release in North America, Toho may be testing the waters for more frequent productions in the future. Although the future remains uncertain, even without a sequel, Godzilla Minus One has bestowed upon fans one of the most exceptional kaiju movies ever crafted, solidifying its position as one of the finest films of 2023. But what are your thoughts on this timeless classic? Do you think that Godzilla Minus One is set to become a genre-defining masterpiece? Or do you think it will be forgotten in the wake of newer films? Let us know in the comments below.